All right, Jean-François, let me begin with the by-elections. So, big win for the Bloc. And first of all, give me your reaction to that. And then I want to ask you about something Yves-François Blanchet said about Anglo. So, first of all, with respect to the by-election in itself, a surprise for you?
Well, it's not. No, it's not a surprise. It's not so much that the bloc gained strength. It's that the Liberal vote imploded, and it imploded as well in the Manitoba riding, where they were not going to win, but they really imploded there. So this seems to give us a preview of what will happen in a general election, because some of these by-elections do not tell us anything interesting. Some are telling us, well, when voters really focus on their vote, then this is what's going to happen. And we saw that in the 2018 Quebec election, where the by-election showed how much the Quebec Liberals were going to lose votes in by-elections, and that really translated into votes. And so the projections that now say that the Trudeau's party could end up being the fourth party in the House, which would be a first since I don't know when, this becomes a real possibility.
Okay, rather than that, and that's what obviously we talked about the Liberals needing to win this, and yes, they lost the vote. I'm just curious, something we didn't talk a lot about. What about the Conservatives finishing last in this by-election? What does that mean, if anything?
Well, the LaSalle riding is a mixed riding in terms of language and origin. So you could have thought that the Conservatives who have been making inroads in allophone ridings, diversity ridings in Toronto, could have done the same here, but it doesn't seem to be sticking in Quebec. They really have a problem with the Francophone Quebecers, and it seems that they have problems with diversity Quebecers as well. So, their big hope is to win Montreal because of the position on the Israeli questions. It may still be possible, but beyond that, they don't seem to have begun to dig into the Liberal advantage and the NDP advantage in diversity electorate in Quebec.
Okay, so then I want to come back to what Yves-François Blanchet said in the wake of winning Inamar LaSalle Verdun. He said that, and I want to try and make sure I get this right, he's suggesting here that this by-election win, builds bridges with Montrealers, and he dreams it makes Anglophones see independence as, quote, not such a bad idea, unquote. I don't know about you. That seems a pretty big stretch to me. You?
If you're a pessimist, don't run for office. Never run for office. It's I'd say it's pretty bold optimism. I think I want, once I created, when I was leader of the PQ, bold Anglos for independence, I call them. And we did gather about 100 of them. But I acknowledge, if you're an Anglo for independence, you're bold. That is not the default position. Let's say like that. And I would be pressed to see how much Anglo vote they got in LaSalle. I think they really won because of the division of the Anglo vote. But so let the guy have dreams.
Bon, so le mot en français, we say that's in English. We say that's dreaming in Technicolor. Because,
that's right.
Yeah, okay. Let me move from that on to what we found out today. First of all, two things, right? As far as federal politics are concerned, yes, there will be a no-confidence motion brought next week by the Conservatives. And no, it won't do anything because that same Yves-François Blanchet said they will not support the Conservative government. Your reaction to that?
Yeah, both Yves-François Blanchet and Jagmeet Singh now have said that they wouldn't go next week. That's their prerogative. In terms of Blanchet, what he's saying is now he has leverage to get some of the things he wants, one of which is increase in pension from 65 to 74. There's a law that's already adopted by the House, that's now in the Senate. The Liberals would have to give their blessing because it's a financial a project with financial repercussions. Mm-hmm. But, this is on top of his list. And then he wants a couple of other things. He could have said, listen, the first motion of censure is in 6 days, so we don't have the time to negotiate with Trudeau in 6 days. So that's okay, but he will not be able to say that every time because Poilievre will come back and back and back with these motions. The NDP is also saying that, well, the NDP is going into a provincial election in British Columbia, so they don't want a federal election at the same time. Well, that will be okay until mid-October when the election is held. So in November, it's going to be very difficult either for Blanchet to keep propping the government if he has nothing to show for it, and the same for Singh.
So I want to ask you a question that I asked our listeners earlier today. I got a lot of reaction to this based on what Jagmeet Singh, and I'm sure you've seen the video of what happened yesterday with those hecklers in Ottawa. You're the leader of a political party. I'm sure you went through your own, people heckling and yelling and screaming. What did you think of what you saw from Jagmeet Singh yesterday, dealing with that?
Well, I must say that it never happened to me that someone yelled insults at me at any point. So I must say that anywhere in Quebec. So I was not in this situation. I thought it was interesting. It was interesting that he wanted to face his detractor, but once the guy who he thought had launched the insult denied it, he went a step further and said, "You're a coward." And usually in my school, that would have brought a fist fight at that point. And so I thought Singh was okay to confront him, but then he seemed to be provoking him, and that's the part I thought was too much.
Okay, you were never ever heckled while you were leader of the PQ, anywhere?
No,
Wow.
the worst thing that happened to me was in Verdun, giving leaflets, and an English-speaking voter came to me and said he completely disagreed with everything I said, and I was a fascist, something like that. But that was it, So, no, I think we live in a pretty civilized place.
Wow. Okay. I had no idea. That is wonderful to hear. Okay. Last thing I will ask you, just real quick, Jean-François. So we're finding out tomorrow, apparently, officially, Pablo Rodriguez, the Quebec lieutenant for the Liberals, the transport minister, will in fact join the Liberal leadership race. Is he, by virtue of that, the odds-on favorite, do you think?
Well, the only poll we have is that when asked if one of the potential leaders would move their voting intentions, the last Léger poll showed that Pablo Rodriguez moved the Liberal vote 3 points up, and he was the only one who moved it. So now we have that. I think that the paradox of Pablo Rodriguez is that although he's 57 years old and has a lot of experience, he just exudes youthfulness and energy, and that's a big plus. Of course, the big minus is that he was part of a government that said no to many things that the National Assembly asked for, including the Liberal Party. And during the leadership race, he's going to be put to task on this. Why, when we Liberals in Quebec asked you to do A, B, and C, were you in a government that refused that? So that's his burden. He has to find a way to cross that burden. And of course, I think he would be, in the top 2 or the top 3 possible leaders.
I will say, I think that youthful appearance has a lot to do with his hair. He's got the best hair of any politician I've ever seen. So maybe that's what it is.
There is such a thing as too much hair, though.
I don't know. I'd like to have that head of hair. Thank you so much, Jean-François. We'll talk to you again next week.